So, welcome to the 8th class of our drawing class on Friday afternoon. And I'm actually filming this from home today because the camera was not turned on the first half of the class. We will get back to the class in the second half of this video. But I wanted to let you know what we are doing today. And we're doing a grid pattern. And this goes back to the Renaissance. Renaissance painters used the grid to make whatever they're drawing much larger so they can do it on buildings and large places. And actually today this same process is used by muralists when they work. You see a lot of the murals around town in Reno. When they work on their walls, they do the same thing. They do a small drawing, grid it out, and blow it up so it can be big and put on the walls. So that's the technique we're learning today. And in this technique, you're going to be using all the things that you've learned in the past, like shapes, distances, edges, values. But you start out a little differently than we've done before. We're not using the plane this time, although the plane is kind of a reduced version of the grid. But the grid is actually 16 squares. And there are 4 across the top and 4 down, and so it comes out to 16 squares, and that's the traditional number of squares I use in a grid. So I'm going to change the camera to go down on what I'm drawing so you can see how we set up this grid. Okay, now I have the camera down on the paper. And I have a picture. It's not the picture I used in the class, but it is what I have here. And I've gridded off this picture so that it comes out 4 equal squares across, 4 equal squares down. And you could do this with pencil or you could do it with a Sharpie pen, and just so that it's divided into 16 squares. Then I have blown up this picture to be twice as wide and twice as long as it was, and made a format about that. Now I have put grids markings on this also 4 across and 4 down, but because it's a larger format, these squares are bigger. You should grid it off with a pencil and do it very lightly because you're going to have to erase the grid marks off after you finish. So, and then what you have to do is just concentrate on each square. So this is kind of a free square because it's the background. But the next square over has the man's hat in it, and you have to use your same comparing how far it is from the top of the page and how far it crosses the line at the side. So you're going to do everything, every line in this one grid. There's a line that is the hat. And then go on to the next grid, make sure the lines match up, and go and do the lines in this side. And this one goes across here, and it lifts across here, and then down. So you're going to do that all over this picture, so you'll have accurate spaces and shapes down. And so it's all working on shapes and lines. And then you're going to go back into these grids and lines, and you're going to shade it. And remember to pay attention to your value ladder. So you're going to say, okay, this shade is down here. And I always start on the lighter side because you can always darken it if you need to get darker. But this hat is kind of a medium gray, but when it's down here it gets to be a darker gray, so I'm going to darken that up. And it gets just a little lighter right in here, so I'll lighten that up a little bit. And it gets darker down in here again. So just keep comparing the degree of darkness and use your ladder, your value ladder, to check out and make sure you're getting dark enough. What you want is a good dark values on this, pretty dark. So you're going to go, when you get to the points where it's really the darkest, which on this picture is right under the hat, right in here, it gets very dark. And you want to make that as dark as you can make it. And then go in with the rest of the, like there's a point in here where it gets very light. So you'll leave that, maybe even the white of the page, if it's light enough. And looks like a little darkness in a wrinkle here. And then it goes over here and the hat bends down and it's very dark down here again. So you just work through this drawing and do it all. And we're probably going to spend 2 days on this because it takes a lot of concentration and a lot of hard focusing on the picture. And you can always use your eraser. If you think something's off a little bit, erase it and redo it. That's a nice thing about working with pencil. So go ahead and work on this drawing. We'll turn on the music and just enjoy working very quietly for the rest of this lesson. Okay, I'm going to stop you for just a minute. I want to say that all of you are getting the shapes really good. Your shapes are excellent. And I can't see anybody that doesn't have that down. You're doing that really well. So that tells me that you're paying attention to where these edges meet up. It's what we started off talking about. And you've got it. You absolutely all have it. Now, the other thing we were talking about is values. And I just want to give you some examples. She isn't quite done, but I want to show you the values in this picture. Really good. I want you to go back and look at your value chart and make sure that you have all of the values on that value ladder all the way in this painting. Another one that is getting values very good is hers right here. Very good. Doing a good job on that. And the best is right here. I saved it for last. Oh my God, it's almost photographic. I mean, it's so amazing. But he's worked really hard in doing the values and has gotten the darkest darks to the lightest lights in this picture. So really good. So if you're working on it right now, what I would suggest, if you aren't using a charcoal pencil, I would try to get one, because that's going to let you get darker with it. And that would be really good. I think we're using charcoal. Oh, you weren't? Okay. Well, you can do it without using charcoal. But anyway, what I want to ask you, but I would like to see you get done with these. And we can take next week and do it if you would all like some more time to work on it next week. Is that the consensus? I don't think anybody's quite done. Okay, you want next week to work on this too? I want to get a picture of these when they're done, because you're going to be amazed at how good they look. And I know you're working really hard and you're focusing on it and you're not really looking at the whole picture, but maybe when you're home today you can take and look at that whole picture and do a little evaluation yourself. Am I getting the values? Am I getting the values good enough? And look at your value ladder. Am I getting the shapes accurately? Which, I have to say most of you are doing that. So we're going to take next week and finish this up. So just take your time with it. Somebody said this takes a long time. Yes, it does. It can't be done quickly. You have to kind of work at it. And if anybody does feel like they're almost done, bring another picture to work on, okay, and do the same thing with it, okay? So next week, continuation.